So Tuesday comes through, right? And they actually start out the day arguing about whether Gaither should or shouldn't be on camera. Please like the video. Of course, Attorney Love doesn't want to say out loud why Gaither shouldn't be on camera, but she goes up to the bench and tells the judge, and the judge is like, all right, we're going to keep her off the camera, whatever. And Tuesday is actually the day that the picture of Gaither went out from court, and everybody was like discussing it to figure out. Everybody was discussing it, trying to figure out where the picture came from. The judge ended up saying, "Oh, this came from the live stream, whatever." I did a whole live video about that, so I don't need to rehash that. But that's that day, right? So Gaither is back on the stand, same answering the questions the exact same way she was the first time she was up there. Let me see. And I really don't even feel like there's a much that I really even need to get to with this because, like, it was all pretty much the same thing. They was playing parts of the Quindarius Zachary interview from 2015. I think it was August 2015 with Dennis and Gaither. Let me see. Another thing that Love kept on asking Quindarius if he ever graduated from high school, and or if he ever told the investigators that he graduated from high school, right? And when they actually play the interview, you hear what he said, right? He said he graduated, right? They was like, from high school. He's like yeah, whatever. He's like, I think so, or something like that, right? They asked him what year he graduated. He said, I think '05 or something like that. Quindarius Zachary was born in like '93. So he couldn't have graduated from high school in '05. Clearly, he was mistaken about whatever he graduated from. So the fact that Love was trying to make it seem like that was one of the inconsistent statements that he had given, it's like the dude clearly has told y'all he has like mental disabilities. You know what I'm saying? He's intellectually challenged in different ways. He might be good in some areas than other areas he's not good in. So he's telling you like, I'm not really good with this stuff like that. And they just want to keep on hammering him. Like, oh, did you tell him you graduated from high school? Like he said he graduated in '05. He was 12 in '05. So clearly he wasn't like, stop. But so whatever, they did that whole thing. I thought it was interesting that so here's a detail that I thought was interesting also. Yeah, he was 12, so clearly he didn't graduate high school. So here's another detail that I thought was interesting, what I didn't realize. Remember that they kept on saying that that Quindarius Zachary's cousin house got shot up, right? And that was the reason that they went in, shot up Denise Bell's house, and they went up and shot up the apartment complex and all that. What I didn't, now of course, most people would go defend their cousins like that, but I couldn't understand what made it so like swift in the way that they was describing what they did, right? And then when they said, "Oh, my cousin was dating Threat Tay," that made it make a lot more sense to me, because even though yes, people will defend their family like that, that's people don't normally do that, like what he was describing. You know what I'm saying? But it makes sense when they say, oh, her boyfriend was a member and he felt like they was trying to shoot him. So now we about to ride around for the rest of the night hunting, right? So that made it make a lot more sense. So Quindarius Zachary's cousin was dating Threat. So like we all talked about, there's a lot of family stuff going on in this whole thing. That's just another familial connection right there. So he's like, oh, so the cousin was dating Tay, and they pretty much is like, if gang was targeting Tay. One thing I thought that was that was crazy is that Quindarius Zachary said that was pretty much their when he was in the police interview. He said that night that he went in and they were shooting stuff up when the cousin house got shot up, that was their first time letting Lil D ride with them to go do something like that, right? Now I don't know if he was telling the truth, but it seemed like he might have been truthful right there. That was his first time being able to ride with them because his older brother didn't want him hanging with them because he said he was the sick little brother, and his older brother felt like he would feel crazy if something happened to his little brother out here, right? Which I don't know how many brothers he has, but one of his brothers actually passed away. So this is probably that brother right there. So he said like his brother, they never let them ride with them. So that was the first time them actually allowing it. And he did something that got him sent to prison for 6 years or whatever, right? 6-7 years. It's crazy because this is one thing that stood out to me, right? I just think if he really was a person on the autism spectrum, Quindarius Zachary was failed. They failed him, right? They failed him terribly. Here's a clip. Here's a clip, guys.
The one that kind of on the car? Yeah, what's going on, man? Yeah. What's up? What's up? Come on. Give me some long gloves, man.
He stands up and gives Detective Thorpe a hug, right? So what pretty much what happened is Zachary is in the interrogation room. Gaither and Dennis are talking to him. You get a knock on the door. Detective Thorpe walks in. He's like, Dennis introduced him. Hey, this is Detective Thorpe. Cordair Zachary's like, Officer Thorpe? He's like, yeah, man. He like, I went to Crawford Lawn Middle School. He like, yeah. Shake his hand. He said, get up, give me some love. And he gives him a hug. So this is clearly, this is one of them. Y'all remember on The Wire, right? If y'all remember, I don't know how many of y'all watched The Wire as closely as I probably did, but The Wire season 4, they introduced a character named Naaman. They added all these kids into the situation, right? So The Wire, Naaman comes in and his whole family is in the streets. And they think, his mom specifically, thinks that he's supposed to be like his father, Weebay. And she's telling him, go be in the streets, go get in the streets. And really, he don't want to be in the streets. Like, that's just not his thing. That's not his character. That's not his attitude. He's not with it at all. And then they put him in a special program in school, and it's a police officer in charge of it. Bunny, I think they was calling him. He's in charge of it. And Naaman takes eventually, you got to break the ice because the kid is, going through what he's going through. Eventually you break the ice and this kid takes a liking to Bunny. And then pretty much he comes like a big brother, mentor, second father figure type of figure to him. And eventually his dad is the one that told his mom, let that boy go. Stop trying to keep him in the streets. Let him do what he's destined to do. Like, go let him do what he gonna do. That's pretty much like what I'm looking at with the Quindarius Zachary situation. He clearly took a liking to this police officer. The police officer used to say, the police officer said when he was on the stand, when these kids would get in trouble, before I would send them off and punish them, whatever, I would pull him to the side, and Quindarius Zachary is one of the ones I would just pull to the side, and I would talk to him and get him to straighten up and all this type of stuff. So he really just needed that type of guidance. But now he's deep in the streets, and you can't undo some of the stuff you've been part of. But that's why I say you failed him, or they failed him. He was pretty much put into a bad situation. But it looked very similar to the Naaman thing from The Wire. For anybody that watched The Wire, right? So, No. He wasn't the one that turned to a junkie. Naaman got his stuff together because he went with the cop. So he said, let me just read what I put because I'm trying to remember it. He said Woody held back a lot of stuff. So pretty much Woody would be around the whole group, but he wouldn't tell everybody what he had going on. He would tell Lil D and Lil D and maybe Moonk, but he wouldn't tell everybody else, like Thug and everybody on that side. So they didn't really know what was going on in the streets all the time. Woody had a lot going on, but nobody knew. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't tell everybody. So Thug said, they say that Thug said that night at the Sky House, I don't know why they killed Nut. And supposedly the answer that was given to Thug was because Nut said whoop, and it was a go. Pretty much they put the green light, they said it was a green light on somebody. Pretty much the green light was on Threat and Woody. Right? So they taking it they trying to take, which is crazy to me, right? Because they keep on using this theory that somehow Nut and somebody named Mo that was in jail put a hit on Woody and Thug. The state is saying, yeah, Thug, they put a hit on you, but they skipping over the Woody part. It's like it don't even make sense at all. That they keep on trying to put everything is no, Woody and Thug was beefing with them, yet the only person that they have in this case trying to say he's connected and some type of boss over this whole murder thing is Thug. It don't make no sense, but whatever. That's what they said. So Lil D said that's the explanation they gave. Thug put up a few hours after Nut was killed. Thug put up a post on Instagram saying, whatever he said, paying tribute to him, saying RIP or whatever. Lil D, another person that's confirming that the beef was between Kale and Woody. They was battling over who had more money, who had more girls, all that type of stuff. And it all came from that. It wasn't about anything else but that. I guess that's what prompted Woody to go rob the truck and all that. Okay. Yeah, they want a big fish. That's all that is. All right, so then we get over to Wednesday, right? More direct of Gaither. I don't think much of what Gaither talked about really helped really anything. Sharp motions for a mistrial when Gaither gets up there and tells the jury that Quindary Zachary was telling the truth in that interview back in 2015 because he was trying to get out of trouble. Sharp says the witness knows this is improper, and as an expert telling the jury another witness was being truthful is a violation. The judge agrees, but the judge still denies the motion and gives the jury an instruction on that whole thing. She says, don't say that again. And Gaither is like, all right. So they get back on redirect, right? In the middle of No, they were already on redirect. So they're on redirect or direct with Gaither or whatever. And out of nowhere, Love says, hey, while you were investigating the shooting on April 28th of Dexter Montgomery, did you do XYZ with this file? Did I just show you a file in the hallway? She was like, yeah. She's like, did that look like your file? She was like, yep, that was my file. She was like, can you describe what your file looked like? She was like, it's about 7-8 inches thick in a brown folder and all this. So then the first thing I did was say, I know this lady is not talking about the file that they said don't exist. That was the first thing I said. I'm like, there's no way that the file that Love is asking, Attorney Love is crazy. The file that Love is just casually starting to ask questions about just so happens to be the file that they've been telling everybody it does not exist. It was lost in a hack. Paper files that was in a drawer was lost in a hack somehow. Don't ask me. I don't know. Love has said a bunch of times the file doesn't exist. She got Glanville to say the file doesn't exist. And Glanville said, if the file does exist, y'all are going to have problems with me. That's what Glanville said. Y'all are going to have problems if that file does exist. Right? So she comes out of nowhere and just says, was that your file? She was like, yeah, that looked like my file, like a copy of my file. There's some stuff added to it, but it does look like that's my file. So then now everybody who's like close watchers of the trial, now Twitter is in a frenzy. This file is actually here and it's around, it's alive and well. And actually the whole conversation around the file was so long, it was like a 30-minute conversation. I didn't even take it. I do have a clip, but it's so long, we could just talk through it, right? The file pretty much pops up and they're like, this is what happened. The defense actually had the file this entire time. It was not labeled because according to the state, they didn't know it was Gaither's file. According to the state, it was unlabeled. It was full of this information that definitely belonged to Gaither's investigations, but we didn't know that it was hers because her handwriting wasn't on it, her name wasn't on it, and we just don't know. But we served it back in August of 2022. So if anybody was confused about why the judge was the judge was annoyed because technically the state did do what they were supposed to do by serving it in discovery. But then the judge was also annoyed that they have said at least 10 times that file didn't exist, right? They didn't just say, hey, we don't know what's going on. They said it doesn't exist. If it did exist, we would turn it over. That's what they said, right? And it's funny because Judge Whitaker asked her, hey, how did you come across this file? Like, what do you mean? This is what Love said. This is the sick part about Love, the silly part about Love. I won't say sick. This is the silly part about Love, right? When she was asked, how did you come across this file or how did you realize that it was hers? Love says something like, I was going through everything. I was going through all of every piece of discovery because I was looking for anything that was related to the Dexter Montgomery shooting because I was preparing for Walter Murphy. That's what she said. She was preparing for Walter Murphy. If y'all remember, Walter Murphy was many, many, many months ago. She said she was preparing for Walter Murphy. And then she said she found this file, right? Or she found the file, but she didn't know whose it was. And then she was like, going through it, whatever. And then somehow she said she sent a text to Detective Dennis just last week and said, hey, whose handwriting is this on? I guess there was handwriting on a picture or whatever. And asked Dennis, whose handwriting is this? And Detective Dennis never answered the text message. And then when she got to court a few days ago, She never texted Gaither and said, whose handwriting is this, right? Come on. She didn't text Gaither and say, whose handwriting is this? She knew to ask Gaither's partner whose handwriting it is, but she didn't think to ask Gaither whose handwriting it is. Okay. So then she never asked Gaither, and then she comes to court before Gaither is about to testify and shows it to Gaither and says, hey, Gaither, is this yours? And Gaither says, yeah, that's mine. So you was preparing for Walter Murphy back in March. That's when you went through the file because you was looking for it so you could find some information on this Dexter Montgomery shooting. Then somehow you found what you was looking for, and then you just didn't figure out where it came from until just last week in September 30th. That's the story that Ms. Love is sticking to. And so the fact that it was served in discovery and just unlabeled, that was the state's alibi. That was their get out of jail free card because technically it was turned over. The judge says, you could have told everybody this morning. The judge asked her, so when you asked Gaither about her file, were you asking about it casually? Or did you have a eureka moment? I'm paraphrasing. Did you have a eureka moment to say, wow, the file that we all thought was gone actually is not gone. It's right here. Did you have that moment? The judge is like, no, Love is like, no, I didn't think about it. I was just going through my files and I found it. I don't know what was going on. And then I realized it was served back in, August 2022. The judge is like, what? Because you realize that this file you said it was not here. But anyway, so they get into that whole thing. Now, Whitaker is annoyed now. So Whitaker is really looking for anything to just let me get at Love because I don't like what's going on right now. So then that's when she comes with the thing about limiting the witnesses, saying, yo, in the federal system, they don't let this type of stuff fly. Please hit the like button. Thank you. They don't let this type of stuff fly in the federal system. They would put a limit and say you got an hour with the witness. And Whitaker, Love is like, well, are they going to make the defense do the same thing? Let's listen to it.
Streamline this case some more. You're just going to have to figure out a faster way to get to what it is that you want from each witness. In federal court, they might just say you got an hour with this witness. And
do they limit both sides to cross and state?
We'll talk about the witness list next week.
And Your Honor, yes, I understand.
Oh yeah, we'll be done by 10 with this witness, and we haven't even gotten to cross yet. After having her all day yesterday.
She was here Monday, Judge.
Whenever it was.
Monday was 2 days ago. She waited all day and did not testify.
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is how long she's on the stand testifying and how long every witness is on the stand testifying and how many witnesses there are in this case. It's just a lot.
Your Honor, are both sides restricted to an amount of time?
Well, I would imagine that it's not like they let one side go on forever, but the other side only gets 10 minutes.
And given that the state does have the burden of proof, Your Honor.
I understand that, which is why I haven't done it yet. But y'all need to self-regulate.
I provided the court with those cases, Your Honor.
People on Twitter thought that was funny. Love is like, she loves using that whole the state has the burden of proof thing. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean that y'all think y'all could just take forever and do anything you want to do? Like, nah. But Weinstein has, since Whitaker got on this case, Weinstein has continuously brought up the fact that, Judge, you have discretion here. You have the power and authority here to limit the time that the state examines a witness. You do not have to let them go on indefinitely. They say somebody's going to be up there for 3 hours and they end up being up there for 3 days. Some of these witnesses are up there for weeks. Judge, you cannot continue to allow this. Whitaker is like, I hear you, Mr. Weinstein. She says she sustained his objection, yet she has not put any measures in place yet to stop the state from doing that. But she did say next week we're going over that witness list. Don't even worry about it. We are good. For sure going to go over that witness list because we're going to chop some things down. We're going to chop and screw that witness list up. Love. And they have yet to show any conspiracies yet. The only thing they keep on saying is this person committed a crime. And look, y'all, here's a social media post where they use some green emojis and they said slat. That's Love's way of saying, here's the conspiracy. This guy stole a pack of I'm not going to minimize the crimes, but this guy shot somebody and he has an Instagram post with a green snake. They were all part of this shooting. Like, they don't have a witness. Every single witness that's involved with this YSL, these unindicted co-conspirators and indicted co-conspirators, they have all said, we don't have a hierarchy. There's nobody telling anybody else what to do. All of us are equal within our crew. Nobody listens to nobody. Clearly, we tell on each other. We steal from each other. We shoot at each. We do not have rules, bylaws, and guidelines in this circle. We will do anything to each other or to anybody else. We don't care. That person is not my boss. And a lot of them even get offended at the idea that Young Thug can tell them what to do. When they brought up Lil D and like Thug being the big dog, he like, who said he was the big dog? Like, Lil D, somebody who can't even go on missions with them, is saying like, I don't listen to Young Thug. Like, who said they don't even listen. So with them keep on bringing up this whole burden of proof thing, we are coming up on a year of people testifying. They have yet to show where the conspiracy is. Their connections between these people are the merch that they keep wearing from tour, the colors that they wear, and the emojis that they use on social media. Association is not conspiracy. Let's say it again. Association is not conspiracy. Because me and my brother have things in common does not mean that the crimes that he commits are attributable to me. They are unconnected. Just because we are associated does not mean we are conspirators or co-conspirators. I don't understand why every single time they want to show that here's the conspiracy, it's always a social media post of somebody with an emoji. Do y'all realize that? It's always an emoji that they want to show. And then they want to get mad when Quindarius Zachary is like, that looked like a green duck to me. Because they want him to say, yeah, that's a green snake. Even if he said, yeah, that looks like a green snake, that does not prove anything. It's just it's an emoji. Like, show me where Young Thug told me to go shoot somebody. That's what y'all said happened here. Prove that. If y'all can't prove that, why do y'all keep on bringing people up here and keep on bringing up the fact that you got the burden of proof? Having the burden of proof means nothing when you ain't proving nothing. All right? Come on, Ms. Love. Get your head in the game, as they say. Get your head in the game, man. You up here just doing anything. You up there just doing anything, man. Golly. So then Weinstein... So then after Love is done with Gaither, Weinstein is first up on cross-examination, right? So Weinstein is just establishing that even though Lil D went in there and told them that Yak Gotti and Shannon told them stuff, but specifically Yak Gotti was in there telling them stuff, Gaither asked Lil D in the interview, why did Yak tell you that? And Lil D didn't answer the question. So Weinstein is like, when you asked him why Yak would tell him that, you realize that he didn't answer the question and you didn't even press him for the answer. Normally, when you're in an interrogation room, if a police officer asks a witness or a suspect a question and they don't answer, the cop is going to ask again or keep asking until they get the answer. But when it came to something that is hearsay, they just let him say, yeah, this person told me this, but I don't want to give you a reason why they told me. Right? So that's what Weinstein was pretty much getting into. There was a lot of back and forth between Weinstein and Gaither. Love kept on objecting. She would not let anything come out fluently. She would not let anything flow. She messed up the cross-examination. There was a lot of banter in that whole exchange. And Weinstein is never even up there that long. Right? So he was done. Then Sharp got up there next on cross-examination. He's like, good morning, former Sergeant Gaither. Gaither's like, it's retired. I'm retired. You know, that whole thing happened, right? So he starts discussing the Dexter Montgomery shooting, asking about the... Now, this is literally... Hold up. Okay, so Sharp is asking about the case file, right? He's asking about... There's pretty much still stuff missing from this case file, right? Stuff that they said that they had evidence of, but they can't show where this evidence came from. And then Love is like, nah, we need to approach. So they approached, they went up to the bench, they came back. I don't know what could have possibly been said. Maybe Whitaker said, hey, leave it alone. Y'all have it. Y'all had it the whole time. Leave that whole thing alone. And Sharp came back and said, all right, Gaither, I'm not going to ask you anything else about your case file. That's called sassiness. That's called being a little feisty. Whatever the judge said he didn't like and he wanted to come back and establish in front of the jury, I have been told I can't talk to you about that no more. So he wanted to say that in front of the jury. That's him. That's like kind of giving back talk to your mom type of thing. So he wanted to definitely say, like, hey, I'm not going to ask you anything else about that case file. The case file that everybody's been hiding from us for the last year, 2-3 years, not telling us what was going on. Right? So then Sharp, now we all think that Sharp is about to get into this thing about Demiki and Garlington's aunt and Gaither relationship. He got close. He approached it. All he started doing is asking, hey, did the family members, like, so Lil D didn't contact you himself so that he could come from the jail and come give you an interview, right? His family contacted you. And she's like, yeah, his family contacted me. She's like, how did his family get your phone number? Gaither is like, well, I did a warrant. I executed a warrant at his mom's house. When I did that, I gave his mom a card so that she can call me whenever she needed to, right? So Sharp said, is that custom? Like, is that a normal thing that you do? Like, you just give the family members of the suspects your phone number? Like, is that how you get down? She was like, yeah, that's pretty normal. So she's like, does the family member of Quindarius Zachary have your phone number? Yeah, the mom, right? Does the family member of Woody have your phone number? She was like, nah, none of his family has my phone number. He's like, does the family of Demiki and Garlington have your phone number? She was like, yeah. Now, at that point, we all thinking, okay, he's laying the foundation so he can get into this relationship thing, but he never got it though, right? He never got into it. He just walked up to the door. Instead of knocking, he just walked away. I don't know why he didn't want to get into that. Maybe because that would have been objectionable and the judge would have told him not to do that. So who knows? I don't know. I'm assuming that he knows as a lawyer something that we don't know about proper questions or improper questions. I'm assuming that wouldn't be proper questioning. Also because it wouldn't be relevant, I don't think, to the case. Because, I don't think it would be considered relevant. So, excuse me. Let's see. He was asking a lot about things that QZ Quindarius Zachary said in 2015 that were never proven truthful. So he wasn't asking Gaither, like, was Quindarius Zachary lying? He kept asking her about things that we all know to be lies now at this point. So, like, all the stuff that we know is a lie. Like, he said he was here. He wasn't there, right? He said he was over here, like all that type of stuff, right? Again, Love is objecting a whole lot, not letting them get to it. And Sharp wanted to establish that a lot of the stuff, or pretty much none of the stuff Lil D said about Shannon's involvement in a Denise Bell shooting was never corroborated, right? Because Lil D said that there was another car, and behind the car he was in, and Shannon was in it, and they helped. Oh, excuse me. And they pretty much helped do the shooting at those spots. So Sharp was like, y'all never charged Shannon for this shooting stuff because you never had any evidence that he did any of that. And she was like, yeah, we never had no evidence of that. He's done, then still comes up there. Now, while all of this is going on, right, the Gaither is saying things under her breath, right? She's saying little stuff, but when Sharp ends his cross-examination of her, she says the word horrible. Now, initially, what I thought was that I thought she was saying horrible like she feels horrible because she's talking real low, like she's breathing hard and all this. I'm thinking she's saying she's sick. I thought she was saying she feels horrible. That's what my thought was. But we all definitely heard her say horrible, right? We just was like, well, dude, like, what's she talking about? What's horrible? So then Brian Steele comes up, right? Brian Steele is getting into it like, hey, Gaither, you knew that Nut and Thug was friends, right? Because you was investigating and you saw that they was posting each other like not far before the murder happened, right? She was being real, like not wanting to answer the question. She was like, well, I don't know about any posts. I didn't see that. He like, so you investigated this thing, but you didn't look at any post, any of the social media around that time? She's like, yeah, look, but I don't remember no post of them. And I don't know when the picture was taken. So even if they did post it right then, I really don't know when it was taken. So that she did that whole thing, still was just pressing on that. Like, they was friends. Don't worry about it. I'll let you know. They was for sure friends. And right after he died, Thug posted the RIP post and let it be known he wasn't cool with it. So Love's still doing all the objection thing. Gaither making comments under her breath that we can definitely hear. And she says, while Steele is going through his paperwork, about to ask the next question, she says, this dude is horrible. Let's get to the clip. Let's get to, y'all know I gotta have a clip of that one. Because this is where it gets funny.
I want to go back to the original question I asked about interviewing allowing Mr. Copeland to speak with Mr. I want to go back to the original question I asked about interviewing Mr. I want to go back to the original question I asked about I want to go back to the original question I asked about interviewing Mr.
Now, this is the thing about it, right? That courtroom is huge. Nobody else in the courtroom would have been able to hear her without that microphone right there. But because the microphone is there, there's also speakers around the courtroom so everybody can hear. So they might not have been able to make out what she was saying, but they for sure heard her say something. And I'm sure they have people at home watching to like, yo, send us text messages if you see or hear something weird, right? So I'm sure somebody told them, yo, she's saying crazy stuff about the defense. So then, we take it from here.
Allowing Mr. Copeland to speak. I want to go back to the original question I asked about interviewing allowing Mr. Copeland to speak with Mr. Garlington on a non-recorded line, okay?
I don't believe I stated.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Judge. May we approach briefly, please?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask you to address the witness and speak to the witness, and also, quite frankly, to speak to the DA as well. Because of the way everyone is positioned, they're obviously closer to the jury than anybody else. Their microphones are live, and what they say can be picked up on a microphone. A couple of times.
Sorry, who? The state says at their table?
And what the witness is saying. And there have been at least 3 occasions where the witness has either before or...
Now, I do know that I see what people are saying about Whitaker, right? The courtroom is big, but the thing is, Gaither is really talking under her breath, right? She's talking under her breath. The problem is the microphone is close to her. We can hear it because there's a microphone right there. The people in there probably can't hear her. She's doing something like, yeah, this dude is horrible. Like if somebody is 10 feet away from me, they wouldn't be able to hear what I'm saying. But everybody on the stream could hear that. So I don't think Whitaker is lying when she says she couldn't hear her. She's far enough away that she wouldn't hear anything that this lady's saying under her breath. It just sounds like, how could she not hear that? It's so loud, but it's because there's a microphone literally inches from her mouth. That's the reason for that.
After a question, muttered something and said something into the microphone that can be picked up.
Well, I certainly haven't heard it. I can barely hear the answers.
I am not the only one who's heard it. At that last exchange, I heard her say something, I couldn't make out what she said, into the microphone. I guess she was frustrated after the question, and it's being picked up by the microphone. And if I can hear her muttering over here, whatever she's saying can be heard to the jury. And it's just inappropriate. I think it's simple enough to tell her to not make any extraneous comments that can possibly be picked up by the jury. Same thing for the state. And we've actually addressed this before prior to this court's involvement in the case, where there have been times where the state, either out of frustration or who knows why they're doing it, says something, or they're making faces and they're saying something that can be picked up by the microphone. And because they're that close to the jury, I'm sure the jury can hear it too. So I'm just asking, as I've asked before, and as they have been told before, to be mindful of the things that they say and the fact that it can be picked up by the jury.
Okay, let me address this real quick. I see a good question that people need to know. Cool Breeze said, how far is Mr. Maurice from the witness stand? Maurice is probably 10 to 15 feet from the witness stand. The problem is, and this is the same thing that Love is getting confused about when she says the camera's picking her up. Maurice is not getting his audio from like a microphone that's plugged directly into his camera. That's not how his audio is coming in. Maurice is, y'all got to understand, Maurice is a professional, like, camera operator, cinematographer. This is a massive audio visual system. It's a big camera, big Panasonic broadcast camera, and it's plugged in to, it's getting audio inputs from this big switcher mixer situation, like a big mixer with a whole lot of microphone inputs coming into it that's fed all throughout the courtroom, right? Maurice's microphone input feed is coming from the courthouse system. He doesn't have a microphone on his camera that's picking up anything. So he's not close to these people at all. He's, far across from the courtroom, and from the witness stand, he's not that close to them either. It's not him picking it up. It's the microphone's picking everybody up, right? Let's get Sharp. Now, Sharp, somebody clearly text Sharp what happened. Somebody text. That's why I think they got people watching the stream so that they can monitor what's going on. Listen to Sharp.
But I've been told by multiple sources that once my cross-examination was finished and Mr. Steele was going to begin, the witness said horrible.
Horrible?
Horrible.
What?
Okay.
And she's sitting right next to the jury.
If the witness and or the state is saying things like that and the jury hears them, I cannot imagine that reflects well on either of them.
Your Honor, I have to say, I would ask that presumptions based on assertions by counsel for opposing for the defendants not be taken as true and then spoken as if they are by this honorable court, because I have no idea what Mr. Adams is talking about. I have not heard any mutterings. I don't know what Mr. Shard is talking about. The state does not have the luxury to sit here and say what it believes someone from the defense is doing without it being cut off quickly. So I'd ask that the court not act on what is being asserted by counsel for the defendants as we stop these proceedings to address something nobody heard, but apparently Mr. Adams.
Nobody heard. You think nobody heard that, Ms. Love? That's kind of crazy because we all heard it, actually. And then they went on to say, hey, Judge, luckily, this trial is being televised. And the judge is like, well, let's be clear first. They said, Shard said, fortunately, this trial is being televised and there's proof of this. And he's saying whatever he's saying and all that. Whitaker says nothing. Keith Adams comes back and repeats the same exact thing. Hey, Your Honor, luckily this is being televised. And she said, well, I don't know why you think that's lucky. It's the jury that's going to make the decision, and the jury is not supposed to be watching a trial or whatever. So she let Shard say that. But then when Adams said it, she was like, nah, stop that. Don't talk like that. Pretty much is what happened. So she jumped on Adams for calling it lucky, and she didn't say nothing to Sharp when he said the same exact thing. Just an observation. They take a little break. They come back, still ask a few more questions. He's done. No more direct. Gaither is done testifying. Excuse me. I think Love felt like she just got beat down so bad when it came to Gaither. She was like, I don't even want to do this no more. Let her get off the stand. Like, get her off the stand. So, yeah, man, it's over. Then they bring in this Agent Bernie with the FBI. He was part of the FBI CAST team, and he's part of the CAST means Cellular Analysis Survey team, right? They analyzed both cell phone tracking and mapping data. So pretty much, you know, he was up here to talk about, he was an expert witness talking about cell phone movement, cell phone communications between each other, all that type of stuff, right? I don't know how many times and how many people they're going to bring up here to talk about cell phone. You know what? This is what the judge means about y'all are throwing this case together as you try it, right? Why am I saying that? Because do y'all realize that they are calling these people they're calling this expert right here to talk about this because Keith Adams established with Sprinkle that cell phone data that you got, Mr. Sprinkle, it don't even show nothing for real. So now the judge is like, hey, let's throw another cell phone expert in to show what it does show. So then they bring him in. Atkins is the one doing his examination. They got Miss Hilton up there writing on the board. They got big diagrams. Like, they really trying to make this a thing. They like, hey, all of these guys called each other this many times within 10 minutes. Is that normal? How can a FBI cell analysis person say what's normal for this friend group and how often they call each other? They're like, yo, they call each other. Now, I would say it's probably not the best thing to do after a murder like this happens to just call a bunch of your friends if you're going to be a suspect. That's probably not the best thing to do, but it does not prove anything. So I think that the state is definitely throwing this case together as they try it. And that also speaks to why every time one of these quote unquote co-conspirators, unindicted or indicted, get on the stand, the state goes off track and brings one of these expert gang witnesses back to testify right after that person again to say, hey, that guy was lying about that stuff. So yeah, they're definitely putting this thing together. I saw somebody just say that black law student sent a letter to the CEO of the Hawks. I saw that he sent the letter. He stated that he did receive a response from him wanting to meet. Okay, I didn't see that part, but I saw that he sent the letter up there.